Part 81. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 810. The atmosphere at the dinner table was not very lively. Compared to Kevin's unbridled talk before, now he is more like a mute. Overseas market will be a top priority department of GFN. Only by going out and facing the world can we achieve success in a real sense, Lu Feng said to Kevin. Now the entire department is both manpower and experience, are very few, and you need to work hard in this regard. Kevin corrected himself and said, my idea is that if it spreads to neighboring countries first, it will be much easier in terms of transportation costs, and the culture is basically the same as that of China, and there is no need to change much in terms of products. The main products are still TVs, VCDs, and pagers as the main product array, and after the subsequent brands are established, other products can keep up. Lu Feng nodded and said, overseas market is more difficult. I'll leave this to you, and I'll tell you something else. Be sure to pay attention to Motorola. Shimo Watanabe is like a mad dog, biting me. You hurry up as soon as possible. Go ahead and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, I will do my best, Kevin nodded solemnly. At 9 o'clock in the evening, the dinner party was over, and Kevin officially took charge of the overseas market department the next day. This time, unlike the previous 3 days of fishing and 2 days of netting, we first introduced a group of middle-level managers, and then went to the Talent Reserve Center to find dozens of them. In turn, began to conduct overseas market research. March is the season of spring, and the gust of wind brings the footsteps of summer, just like the gust of wind in the communication industry, and people who blow are dazed. CuteChildren's pager market has begun to stabilize, and online and offline advertising has steadily advanced. Motorola, Ericsson, Toshiba, Panasonic, and other foreign brands quickly turned their heads and launched a charge towards the high ground of lovers. In a short period of time, 4 products were released in a row, namely, Love at First Sight, Walking with Love, Love for 1,000 Years, and Meeting with Whiteheads, and even launched the marketing strategy of the marriage proposal pager, and the crowd of love pagers danced wildly for a while. Many brands began to look for domestic celebrities to endorse, and advertisements similar to CuteChildren technology increased for a while, and there were countless imitators, and some people simply took all Lu Feng's plans for CuteChildren's pager, and directly followed a cat and a tiger. The result does not need to ask to know, die very fast. For a while, there was a saying about Lu Feng in the domestic business community, those who like me die, those who follow me die. On April 7, 1994, the relevant departments officially announced that the domestic internet was officially connected to the international market. This news has excited many Chinese people who are engaged in internet work in the United States. Many people in the Chinese circle are discussing whether or not to return to China to start a business. At the same time, another thing was announced at the meeting, which was to issue network access licenses to 10 foreign communication companies, allowing them to carry out related business activities in China. These 10 companies include Motorola, Ericsson, Nokia, Panasonic, Sharp, Siemens, Samsung, etc. These 10 companies are basically the top presences in the global communication industry. For these companies, after issuing network access licenses, they may not necessarily enter the country to sell products. After all, for these international giants, this is a market without potential. Market. But for Nokia, this is an excellent opportunity. Mosquito meat is also meat. Elmi called Lu Feng immediately. She deeply believed that without Lu Feng's help, Nokia would never have obtained this license. There are many companies that are more powerful than Nokia and still haven't obtained it. From this incident, she could feel Lu Feng's ability to cover the sky with one hand in China. Thank you so much, I don't even know how to repay you. Elmi's voice was a little excited. If you have time, I'll treat you to a meal. Listening to the voice on the phone, Lu Feng smiled and said, just one meal. I've been busy lately, you know, After I got the network access license, things started to increase. Our products are coming soon. When everything is done, I can eat as many meals as I want, and I'll be there. I will accompany you to eat every day, Elmi said with a slight whimper. Now that the network access license has been completed, how about the cooperative research and development thing we talked about earlier? Lu Feng asked. For it. Elmi also told his father about this, and he was directly refuted. Nokia's biggest core competitiveness is communication technology. Of large enterprises cooperate with such a newly emerging enterprise as GFN Electronics? What a joke, this is absolutely impossible. Elmi also knew that this was what Lu Feng wanted in addition to himself, and she said coquettishly on the phone, I'll settle this matter for you, don't worry, let's talk about it later, we'll all be together in the future. It's my own, so what are you thinking about? Hearing this, Lu Feng looked very disdainful. She really thought she was someone who lost her mind when she saw a beautiful woman. But that's fine, Lu Feng said to the phone, I feel more at ease with your words, no matter what, this is our family's industry, isn't mine yours, our /U0026D is for us, it's really important. I know, you don't need to tell me this every time you call. Do you care about your company's R/U0026D or me? Elmi was a little annoyed, so she used her trump card and said, then you and your R/U0026D company. Let's be together, say every time, hang up. After he finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Listening to the blind tone on the phone, Lu Feng became impatient, but this love game had to go on, at least until Nokia got involved. Lu Feng had no choice but to pick up the phone and call again. After several calls, he didn't answer until the fifth time. Elmi on the other end of the phone angrily said, why are you calling me? You are not talking to our /U0026D. Has the company ever been? You asked me for our /U0026D cooperation. No, baby, I just need to cooperate now. It just so happens that you also have this background, Lu Feng explained to the phone. Is this what I care about? You need me to give it to you. Every time I call, I ask, what I want is your attitude, do you understand? Elmi said solemnly, do you know what's wrong? I know I'm wrong. Is my attitude okay? When will there be news about the cooperation? Lu Feng said deliberately. You still care about this, I'm so angry, you still care about your cooperation, and you should reflect on it yourself. Don't hang up, I was wrong, I won't mention it in the future, you can help me and worry more. Lu Feng had to follow her rhythm. Don't think that we are close now, you can bully me at will, I tell you, how many people chased me before, the Prince of Saudi Arabia gave me a private jet, I didn't want it, and the royal family of Great Britain, Wall Street son of a financial tycoon, what am I doing with you? Elmi sobbed as she spoke, you just treat me like this, asking endlessly, I've been helping you. Lu Feng listened to the voice on the phone and wanted to laugh. Is this pattern really handed down from ancient times? Don't cry, I'm sorry, where are you now? I'll find you, Lu Feng hurriedly said. I don't want to see you. It's my fault, I won't urge you in the future. Don't apologize to me, I'll tell you, our first batch of products will arrive this month, you open a counter for us, and you've been busy with advertising and publicity recently, Elmi ordered. Okay, I'll do it well, don't be unhappy, Lu Feng coaxed. You know what to say? You're all mad at you, you can't even coax people, hang up, cry and wear makeup, go and make up, and there will be a meeting in a while, Elmi said aggrieved. Just don't get mad at me, where are you going to eat tonight? Lu Feng asked. Don't eat, hang up. Elmi hung up the phone after finishing speaking, cleaned up her mood, and decided to go out for a walk and buy herself some clothes. Lu Feng put down the phone and let out a long sigh of relief. It was really not easy to play with her. After thinking about it, he picked up the phone and called Zhu Lidong. "Are you at headquarters?" "Yes," Zhu Lidong said in surprise. "What's wrong, President Liu?" "Have a meeting and call the person in charge of the sales channel." Lu Feng felt that it was still necessary to promote this matter as soon as possible. Zhu Lidong put down the phone, and his face was not good. The marketing plan planned in March did not show any effect. The off-season has passed, but the daily sales of Viputa TVs are still hovering around 10,000 units. Sales exceeded 10 million mark. It took less than half a year for him to do this. How could Zhu Lidong not feel guilty? But he is wrong too. This year has been a bloody year, and the price war is about to break out. The price of large color TVs that originally sold for more than 4,000 yuan has dropped to about 3,500 yuan this year, and the price of the entire TV product has been reduced by more than 300 yuan. In addition, Lu Feng offended too many people before. Now that Zhu Lidong comes up, others see that I can't beat Lu Feng, but I can't get you Zhu Lidong? In terms of pricing, product positioning, and preferential activities, it takes turns to squeeze Viputa. It can be said that this year's Viputa TV is a revenge for grievances and grievances for grievances. Anyone who comes up wants to kick both feet, and Zhu Lidong can maintain the order. With a daily sales of 10,000 units, his ability has already attracted the attention of many peers. Zhu Lidong packed his things and asked his assistant to call the person in charge of the channel to the conference room. He was not in a good mood at the moment. Don't look at Lu Feng when his performance was good, he was really trembling now. Taking a deep breath, Zhu Lidong was ready to be scolded, and he also thought about it. This matter must be told to President Liu. When the semi-annual report is reached, the sales performance is too stretched, and Lu Feng will not be fired. It is estimated that his salary will be deducted. The most important thing is that Zhu Lidong cannot accept the fact that he is not capable. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 811. Lu Feng started to concentrate on communication last year. At first, other companies thought that Lu Feng could not let go of it completely. After the new year, Lu Feng was in the field of pagers, and he was extremely selfless. Everyone saw that he had no time to get out. Isn't it an opportunity? After the new year, Skyworth, Konka, and TCL sat together for a meal. The three companies are expected to earn 18 million in overseas markets. If they can survive this year, they may fight to the end. 8 million. Changhong is too large, and it is a state-owned enterprise, so it is not easy to make targeted shots, then it will catch Viputa. After the year, the three companies have launched a product that is comparable to Viputa TV. The price is similar, and the size is the same, as long as Viputa did a special promotion, and immediately jumped out to a lower price. In the electronics industry, if you raise your arms and say that you are engaged in research and development, few people will take care of you, but if you shout to clean up Lu Feng, you will definitely send out all the staff, and bring your own food and drink to fight. The other companies didn't speak, but they reached a tacit agreement in less than a month. Throughout March, Viputa was beaten 7 times a week. The angry Zhu Lidong even swears in public and swears at those on the street. His strength is comparable to that of Lu Feng. In the end, I was really angry and asked the legal affairs to sue all these companies for vicious competition. The lawsuit is still going on, but Zhu Lidong also knows that the final result must be mediation, or it means that the family will pay 108,000 yuan. I mean, it's over. In the conference room, Zhu Lidong was sitting there a little cautiously. The others were murmuring to each other about what to discuss in this meeting today. A few minutes later, the door of the conference room was pushed open, and Lu Feng walked in. Everyone got up and said politely, "Hello, Mr. Liu." "Okay, all sit down." Lu Feng went to the seat, pulled out the chair and sat down, and said casually, "This will be very simple today. Didn't I tell you to open a counter in the store some time ago? How's it going? Mr. Lu, we have a lot of products now. If we have a large counter, we really can't open it, but we can still open a small counter. Now the largest counter in the store is CuteChildren Pager, which is also our main product. A responsible person Ren Chao Lufeng said. For example, in towns and counties, including third and fourth tier cities, the counters cannot be opened, and the scale is small. It's almost enough to vacate the counter. The key is the warehouse. We need to vacate more. Is this no problem? Lu Feng asked a few people. This should be no problem, we still have a lot of warehouses. Lu Feng was happy, and his expression was a bit cunning. Even his white teeth seemed to be glowing. Zhu Lidong instinctively felt that he was digging a hole for someone else, but he didn't have the heart to care about those now, because he might be punished by Lu Feng. Peak was buried alive. Lu, President Lu, I have something to tell you, Zhu Lidong said nervously. What's the matter? Follow up on this matter and do it as a matter of fact, you know, Lu Feng instructed Zhu Lidong. Yes, I will follow up myself. Zhu Lidong nodded again and again. What's the matter? Lu Feng seemed to be in a good mood. Zhu Lidong knew that now was the time to talk. If he missed his happy time, he really didn't know when to wait. The sales volume of Vipta came out in March, which is surprising compared to expectations, but I think the market outlook is worth looking forward to. That is, the explosive force is not enough, and the market sentiment is not high. Zhu Lidong tried to be a little more euphemistic. Said, people have always said that the market is the best teacher. During this time, we have indeed learned a lot and grown. The more Lu Feng listened, the more wrong he became. He frowned, looked at him and said, what do you mean? Didn't you tell me that the sales in March were not good, and there is a large-scale marketing campaign? How about it? The heads of the sales channels glanced at each other. They knew the sales volume of Viapada, and immediately understood that they couldn't stay any longer. The first one coughed and said, Mr. Lu, it's okay, I'll go first. Sort out the relevant information and notify the stores in each area to set up counters. It's all right. Mr. Lu, I'm busy too. A few people walked out in a hurry. Zhu Lidong secretly scolded the bastards in charge of the sales channel, and he had no responsibility at all. He wanted to settle accounts, but these people were not completely under his control. This is the sales data for March, and it has already come out. Zhu Lidong bit the bullet and handed over the report. Lu Feng's face darkened after reading it. March was the off-season, and Wiputa's entire series of TVs sold 240,000 sets, with an average of 10,000 sets in a single day. The expectations are surprising. The market outlook is worth looking forward to. The market sentiment is not high. The market is the teacher. Did the teacher target you like this? Ah! Zhu Lidong, Lu Feng threw the folder on the table and shouted, you go to class and stand outside. Do you think this result is suitable? What? You want to show me a bottoming out, don't you? Zhu Lidong stood up and lowered his head without saying a word, like a primary school student. Isn't it justified in the off-season? Last month, I spent 6 million in marketing, and 6 million is just a waste of money for me. Lu Feng pointed at Zhu Lidong and scolded, you bastard. Du Guoying was looking for Lu Feng everywhere with a folder in his hand. Several new business models on the pager needed Lu Feng's signature. Lu Cheng was anxious for approval. Du Guoying heard that the meeting was over, so he knocked on the door of the conference room and walked in. I just saw Zhu Lidong standing there and being reprimanded like a primary school student, so scared that he didn't dare to move. You must know that Zhu Lidong is definitely a majestic presence within the group on weekdays. Du Guoying's biggest dream is to one day make the marketing department of CuteChildren Technology on an equal footing with Zhu Lidong. However, there are only 2 people in the huge conference room at this moment, and the atmosphere is extremely depressed. What's the matter with you, Lu Feng turned his head and asked with a dark face. That, sign, Du Guoying hurriedly handed over the folder. Lu Feng glanced at the application for the new product production test of the pager, glanced at it, signed his name and said, let them produce the business model as soon as possible, and compare the products of other companies in the market. Okay, Du Guoying took the folder and turned around and trotted out. What's the matter with you? Sit down. Lu Feng was also shocked by the sales. After thinking for a while, Zhu Lidong's ability should not have achieved this level, and asked, what's the situation in the market? It's only been less than half a year. You will ruin my family business like this. Zhu Lidong was also aggrieved when he sat down and said, at the end of last year, in the peak season and the profit-making activities, our monthly sales exceeded 1 million units in the last month of last year, so this year, we directly ordered one of 12.25 million units. The goal, I didn't expect the market to change after the new year. What's wrong? Say it. It's targeting us. All companies are targeting us. As soon as we engage in activities, we immediately jump out of one. A TV of the same size is tens of dollars cheaper than us. This year's price war is too fierce, and the comprehensive price is reduced by 300 yuan. The high-end large color TV even dropped by 800 yuan, and it went into a big dive. Zhu Lidong said aggrievedly. The result of this is that at the beginning of this year, foreign brand TVs will be destroyed directly. There used to be 7,000 to 8,000 foreign brands of smuggled TV sets, but this year is completely over. Even the normal imported products have no sales at all. The product quality of domestic TV sets has improved. Coupled with the price war, this year started to die dry. Last year, Lu Feng said that this year's TV sets will be a sea of red. Now it's just after March, and blood has flowed into a river. TV sets from foreign brands are lying all over the floor. Zhu Lidong is really amazing. Other businessmen originally estimated that Wipita would be defeated. After hearing these things, Lu Feng lit a cigarette and scolded, Male Gobe, this is too bullying. I didn't bully people like that. After discussing the activities, target me. I also said it in public, what are you doing to me, Zhu Lidong? I'm nothing. President Lu didn't dare to say a word when he was there. Now he's coming to me and bullying me. The heads of several manufacturers were particularly arrogant, saying that even if Lu Feng came, they would not be afraid, but they were still fighting all over the place to find teeth, and they said that you can't do it anymore, and that's the three-pointed axe, and now they don't dare to come out. Lu Feng raised his brows at him and asked, which one said that? I can't remember exactly. Anyway, it's either from Skyworth or from Konka, or else it's TCL. These three companies will definitely not be able to escape. I was angry at the time. It's not bullying me, it's slapping you in the face. Zhu Lidong knew very well in his heart that if he was targeted like this, the goal set for this year would definitely not be achieved. By the end of the year, his bonuses would definitely fly, and maybe there would be no equity dividends. If Lu Feng can free up his hand to help and open up the situation, he will be able to do it later. You really deceived me, Zhang Lang, Lu Feng snorted coldly, looked at Zhu Lidong and said, I have to show you a hand. It's for them to see, it's too bullying, Zhu Lidong corrected. Lu Feng pondered for a while. It will take some time for Nokia to officially settle in. Kevin has nothing to do with rectifying the overseas market for the time being. Squeeze your time. You guys, don't leave me alone for a while. Lu Feng sighed and stood up and said, prepare specific materials. There will be a meeting tomorrow afternoon, and I will accompany the children today. Zhu Lidong was ecstatic in his heart and flattered. As soon as Mr. Lu made his move and swept the audience, they must be so scared that they couldn't sleep when they knew you were back in charge. Stop flattering and work. Lu Feng stood up and walked outside. After taking the car keys, he drove straight to Duo Duo school, and took her out to eat and drink after school. The little guy was very happy that Lu Feng came every once in a while. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 812. Every time Lu Feng sees Duo, he basically eats, drinks, and has fun. Of course, he also knows that being so accustomed to a child will make her life go wrong. This time, he specifically asked about her studies. Duo's brain is really smart, but it's a pity that she doesn't need to study. Her academic performance is considered to be at the upper middle level in the whole grade, but she always gets into the top 10 in the grade. According to what the teacher told Lu Feng, this child is a person. She is very proficient in talking about people and talking about ghosts. She knows not only the teachers in the class, but also the teachers in other classes. Because she sells all kinds of things in school, she knows many people, and she uses her small connections to explore what the paper may take before exams. The teacher said that she spends more time on interpersonal relationships than reading books. Lu Feng also talked about her, but people's character is innate, and their nature is hard to change, so she can only let her go. Zhu Lidong decided that Lu Feng wanted to take care of Wiputa, and his back suddenly stiffened. Some time ago, he called Huang Hongsheng of Skyworth and Li Dongsheng of TCL, but the winners and losers were already decided in the market, and he was not ignored at all. This time, Zhu Lidong planned to show off his power well, and quickly spit out the resentment he had been holding back during this time. After the call was connected, Li Dongsheng picked up the phone and said, "Which one?" "Who do you think I am?" Zhu Lidong snorted coldly. "Mr. Li, we haven't talked for a long time." "Ha ha ha ha, Mr. Zhu, what's the matter? Do you want to talk to me again?" Li Dongsheng leaned back on the chair, his words were full of jokes. Some time ago, the two of them called, but he was very angry on the phone. Zhu Lidong said, "The sales in the past 2 days are not good. I told you that the current environment is not good, and there is no off-season or peak season. There's no off-season and peak season. You sell so well? Mr. Li, I just wanted to tell you something about the call. The sales volume of Wiputa was not good last month." Mr. Lu already knew about this, and Mr. Lu was very angry. "The consequences are very serious," Zhu Lidong said solemnly. Li Dongsheng was stunned when he heard this. He pondered for a while and said, "So what if Lu Feng knows? Not to mention that he is busy with communication now, even if he comes back to do it himself, what can change? It is 1994 now, not 1993. The times have changed, understand? Foreign brands are all over the place, what can Lu Feng change? Mr. Li is stubborn. He was beaten all over the floor last year, and he didn't know who it was. Since you dare to be so provocative, then I will tell him." Zhu Lidong looked like he was not afraid of big things. "Although I say, I want to see what he can do. I still have a meeting." "Hang up." Li Dongsheng hung up the phone after he finished speaking. Zhu Lidong put down the phone, and the assistant next to him couldn't help but asked, "Mr. Zhu, it seems useless to tell him about this, right?" "I'm just frightening him." Zhu Lidong was a little underpowered. Because he knew what was going on in the market now. In such a situation, it was really impossible for a fairy to come. The only thing he hoped for was that a miracle would happen to Lu Feng. The next day, after the morning meeting, Lu Feng's first meeting was with the executives of Wiputa. Everyone in the meeting room sat with their heads held high, and the atmosphere was a little depressing. "What's the market situation now? Let me introduce. Where are the difficulties and pain points?" Lu Feng asked, leaning back in his chair. "Mr. Lu, hello, I'm the director in charge of the Wiputa market, and Dongqing. This is the first time I report to you, and I'm very excited." "Stop, Stop. Lu Feng looked at the man who was 1.8 meters tall and estimated to weigh at most 130, and said, "Don't talk about useless things, just talk about the problem." "Okay, Mr. Lu." He looked a little nervous, took a deep breath and said, "This year's situation is very different from last year. Due to the soundness of the industrial chain and the standardization of supporting suppliers, major manufacturers have the integration of downstream industrial chain resources has been completed, and large-scale and mass production has been formed, so the cost price has been reduced by 25%. So after the beginning of the year, various types of TVs quickly started a price war. Changhong was the first to cut prices. Among them, the price of 37-inch large color TVs was directly reduced by 500 yuan, and the average price was reduced by 300 yuan. At present, major companies are well aware of the cost price of their competitors, because the price of the industry chain is clear, so everyone is locked in the final profit point, fighting to the end. The fight is the transportation cost, that is, the factory post cost. Now we have the highest market share in Suzhou and Zhejiang, because the transportation cost is low, and rival companies can't stand it because of the high transportation cost. The most competitive place is the control area where the major manufacturers have the lowest transportation cost, such as Konka, TCL, and Skyworth, which firmly control the identity market in Guangzhou, Fujian, Guangxi, and Hunan. Our lost market share is mainly in the base camps of major companies. For example, in Sichuan, we were suppressed by Changhong. As long as we do preferential activities or marketing planning, Changhong will immediately launch targeted products. The price is just a little lower than ours. Because our transportation cost is high and the other party's transportation cost is low, people will focus on this cost, and the more we sell, the more losses we will make. At the same time, we launched a marketing plan for the charger last month. The machine is placed at the cost price to attack the main markets of Skyworth, Konka, and TCL, and the profit model is placed in after-sales maintenance, spare parts sales, and even bundled VCD for sales. But the three teams went into battle in succession, and the charge that lasted for a month ended in failure. The people present didn't look good when they heard these reports, and even Lu Feng's expression was hard to look at. This year, everyone has made it clear that the extraction of profit points is no longer from consumers, but from consumers. Turn to industrial chain integration, transportation, and other aspects. In any industry, any product, or any enterprise, the real lure is definitely not to extract the maximum profit from consumers, but to reduce costs and still achieve profitability. To achieve this, you must have the right to speak in the industry chain, have the right to set prices, minimize costs, and at the same time make concessions to the market. As long as you do it, it is only a matter of time before your opponent dies, and the other party simply cannot afford it. It's really tricky to get to this point. Basically, to this level, life and death have already been decided, and the companies that should have their own industrial chain, or companies that have the right to speak in the industrial chain, have now won. These enterprises are still inextricable, mainly because everyone has two brushes in their hands, and behind them all represent the electronic technology industry chain of a province, and no one can overwhelm the other, so the situation in the market is that land is king. Li Dongsheng is very aware of the current market situation. If the immortals come, there is no way to do it. If it is consumed, it is equivalent to two masters fighting for internal strength. Whoever can't hold back first will die, but he is still a little worried. Lu Feng made him very worried. If something really happened, it might be doomed. According to the communication between them, the main market of Viputa is Jiangsu and Zhejiang, and the annual sales volume is only 5 or 6 million units. Ranked 5th and 4th in the industry. Wei Puda's target is more than 12 million units, which is a sales volume that is close to the big brother Changhong. After thinking about it, Li Dongsheng still called Huang Hongsheng. "Hello, who is it?" Huang Hongsheng answered the phone and asked. "Mr. Huang, it's me, Dongsheng. Just now Zhu Lidong called me and said something." Li Dongshen's voice was a little worried. "What's the matter?" "They are going to give up Wipita," Huang Hongsheng teased. "What's the matter? Let you worry? Now our market share is very stable. As long as it is stable, we will not be afraid later. GFN Electronics is eager to expand. We don't expand, it's him who is worried." Huang Hongsheng said we, and Li Dongsheng also knew in his heart that the main driving force for these three companies to come together was Lu Feng. Lu Feng has recently freed up his hands and is very dissatisfied with the sales volume of Vipta. Li Dongsheng said. "Hey. I thought what was going on, in this situation, let alone Lu Feng, it is useless even if Mount Everest came, can he solve the problem of transportation costs? Can't solve it, his products only need to come here. If you want to sell big, you have to accept the plan to sell a TV and lose a little money." Huang Hongsheng saw it clearly and said, "Don't be frightened by him, to put it bluntly, he's just a fool. The Jiaxun pager is really beyond my expectations. Let me tell President Chen. Look at you, you have no courage at all. Let me tell you, I am not afraid of him at all. Now that we are invincible, what does he have? Stand up and say that Lu Lang is still leading the way," Huang Hongsheng sneered. "Ha ha 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 ha," Li Dongsheng couldn't help laughing. After hanging up the phone, Li Dongsheng called Chen Weirong from Skyworth. The two of them chatted about this on the phone. Chen Weirong and Huang Hongsheng meant the same thing. Card, everyone knows, who is afraid of whom. As for the overseas market that Lu Feng boasted about last year, because Kevin did not expand in time, it is not much different from them now, more than 18 million per month. If this money is given to them, it will definitely be a sharp edge, but GFN there are too many electronic industries, and the size of enterprises is different. In less than one night, the news of Lu Feng's remanagement of Vipta spread throughout the industry, but everyone just thought he was more concerned about his return. As for what he could do, they didn't have any expectations. In the same way, Lu Feng researched all day, from raw materials, suppliers, cargo transportation, terminal sales, advertising, and marketing, all over again, there is no breakthrough point. The night was hazy, and the air was a little damp. Lu Feng looked at the night scene outside and sighed, it was a bit difficult. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 813. Without Lu Feng, such a situation would have remained stalemate for more than 10 years. These brands have a very strong radiation force centered on production, but it would be difficult to break into other people's sites. The provinces without TV factories are the markets that these companies are mainly fighting for, and they are also the places where the competition is the most fierce. For example, Vipta has a higher market share in Henan and Shaanxi. It was late at night. Lu Feng lit a cigarette and sat there thinking about it. He knew the truth. It is impossible for these companies to kill them completely. What they represent is the industrial capacity of each province. Pandas were already like that in the mid-1990s, and they're still holding on to it. Overnight, the news that Lu Feng was back in charge of Vipta spread throughout the industry, and everyone was privately muttering about what changes Lu Feng would bring this time, or if nothing could be changed. The managements of major companies talk a lot, but the bosses are all calm, because they know what the situation is now. For 3 days in a row, Lu Feng had been learning about the situation of Vipta, and even went to a few stores to conduct a simple research on the market. A science and technology conference is being held in Zhongguancun, the capital, and many companies are participating, including Li Dongsheng and Chen Weirong. There was an interview and interaction on the stage, and the reporter said to a few TV executives, "I heard recently that Lu Feng seems to be in charge of Wipita again. I don't know if there will be any pressure on them." Huang Hongsheng leaned back in his chair and said, "What pressure can we have? he should be the one who is under pressure. I found that now some people are starting to dismiss the myth of Lu Feng, as if he does something, it attracts attention. I think it's better to keep your feet on the ground. Li Dongsheng applauded from the side. Everyone started from the same starting point, and even Lu Feng came later than them, but now the fame has overshadowed them, which made some people feel quite unhappy. Lenovo's President Lu is the host today, and he invited everyone to dinner and chat. Recently, he is also secretly worried. GFN Electronics is developing too fast, especially the big sale of pagers. People can't help but think that the next step is mobile phones. Mobile phones have already been made, so is the computer still far away? A person with a big appetite like Lu Feng can do what he says. If one day the two families start to fight, it will definitely be President Lu who will be embarrassed, because Zhu Lidong does something to him. No matter what the result is, he will be embarrassed. After 3 rounds of drinking at the dinner table, Mr. Lu said to a few people, in the current situation of the TV industry, does he have any tricks? He has a fart trick. Now don't say that he has no tricks. We have no tricks. Everyone is joking. So Changhong is stronger. Huang Hongsheng shook his head and said, some people outside are just blowing him too much. What I'm worried about now is the crazy expansion of GFN Electronics. Do you see how many industries he has made, one selling children's food, and now it's high-tech? President Liu's worry was written on his face. Everyone nodded, but they couldn't hold Lu Feng's handle for a while. You must know that various product friends of GFN Electronics have to buy it back and disassemble it, and test it. If you really find a problem, you must be the first to go to business management. Reported by the Bureau. After drinking 3 dishes and 5 flavors, Huang Hongsheng told President Lu firmly, don't worry about Lu Feng, they know too much about TV. As long as the fundamental problem is not resolved, it is useless for anyone to come. The decline in TV profits and sales can definitely slow Lu Feng's development, and most importantly, it can reduce the valuation of GFN Electronics. Without the financing, no matter how talented Lu Feng is, it is hard for a clever woman to cook without rice. The top management of Wiputa has also been waiting for Lu Feng to come up with a plan, but in a blink of an eye, so many days have passed, and there is nothing, and the market is still very passive. Zhu Lidong is watching and anxious. Under the rapid development, many of the company's processes are not perfect, especially the pager will still contain part of Lu Feng's energy. Compared with other bosses, such as Pao Niu playing golf or something, Lu Feng has not relaxed. Even in the past few years, he has been in a state of high-intensity work. There was a knock on the office door. Lu Feng said something to come in. Zhu Lidong pushed open the door and walked in, and said to Lu Feng, Mr. Lu, today there was a technology conference in the capital, and many bosses were there, causing some disputes. It doesn't matter what you say. Lu Feng breathed a sigh of relief and said, Wiaputa's problem is really difficult to solve. This is an unsolved problem. Everyone knows that according to my thoughts, we must rely on the overseas market in the end. Whoever walks out will survive, Zhu Lidong said. There is a certain reason, but you can't do this while watching the domestic market decline. We haven't gone international yet. Forget it, I'll take a break. Lu Feng looked at the time and said, I can participate in any activities. Well. Zhu Lidong thought about it. Lu Feng was really tired during this time, but there were really no activities suitable for him. He said, why don't you join the dinner party? There are a lot of dinner parties and dances in the evening. For me, it's work, Lu Feng said helplessly. By the way, let's go play golf. The mayor who was in charge of our area asked me a few days ago and said he wanted to talk to you. He likes to play golf, so I happened to have a chat with him. Zhu Lidong was interested and said, Zhao district chief is different from other people. His research is very complicated, he is easy to talk, and he is very funny. I still can't escape from work, let's do it. Lu Feng compromised, and sat back in his seat, his mind still on Wipta. This was the most unsolvable problem he had ever encountered. District Mayor Zhao heard that Lu Feng was going to play golf with him, and immediately became happy. He pushed the afternoon meeting and went straight to the appointment. District Chief Zhao is 35 years old this year, and he is not very old, but he gives off an old-fashioned feeling. On the golf course, a few girls in short skirts and sun hats are following Lu Feng. District Chief Zhao has any research on this thing. Lu Feng opened his mouth to the Chief Zhao next to him. It's also thanks to the good fortune of you bosses. I played a few times, but I didn't play well. That is, in April, it became hot in 2 months, and I didn't even play with money, District Chief Zhao said casually. I'm a big girl in a sedan chair. It's the first time. Lu Feng was indeed playing golf for the first time in his life. In his last life, he had been on the golf course with other rich people for a while, but he really didn't care much about sports. Interest, and then the business was not discussed and it was over. This thing is simple. Aim, pinch your butt, straighten your hand, and swing, District Chief Zhao told Lu Feng the secret. Boom. Lu Feng swung out with one shot, but he didn't know where the ball landed. District Chief Zhao saw that the hit was skewed, and smiled without saying a word. He raised his hand and made one shot. The two were chatting while playing the ball. When they were tired, the caddy handed over a towel, and the two wiped their sweat. District Chief Zhao took the opportunity and said, Mr. Lu, do you know something? If you have anything to say, just say it. Lu Feng looked at him and said, is something wrong with the group offending you? That's not true. You should know that I am in the disciplinary committee. Your subordinate company has a middle-level management hand, and it reaches into our interior. Although GFN Electronics is in our district, I still hope that the company belongs to the company. It belongs to us. We can help you, but we cannot influence us. Zhao District Chief looked at Lu Feng and said. I really don't know about this. Lu Feng stopped his movements and looked at him. Can you tell me more? It's just to take money from others and speak for him, and the people of your group have frequent exchanges with the district. Some people are for money, some people are going up in order to get results as soon as possible. That's all tricks to use. The year-end bonus issued in the district last year was the Golden Leopard VCD. If Zhao District Chief finished speaking meaningfully, he raised his hand and hit it out, saying, you can't stretch your hand too long, it's easy to get into trouble. What do you think? The idea of District Chief Zhao is very simple. After the year, GFN Electronics Group got very close to many people, and even the most important thing in the district was GFN Electronics, and GFN Electronics was the most important thing in the district. This kind of voice. However, the people below hooked up, but Lu Feng never hooked up with himself once, which made him feel that his face was not glamorous. If Lu Feng had anything to do, he would call Vice Mayor Lu, as if he was the heir. Then you can replace the year-end bonus with something else. Lu Feng looked at him and said, this is just a normal year-end bonus. It can't explain anything. Besides, GFN has provided a lot of jobs for the district. Tax. I know, but your people are already very familiar with purchasing. People outside think that we are already wearing a pair of pants. Wear a pair of pants in the heel area? Lu Feng seemed to sense something, and suddenly had an idea. For small counties and cities, the municipal administration is absolutely authoritative. If we can bundle the Wipita TV with the municipal administration, we will worry about sales. Well. But here comes the problem again. Mandatory buying and selling will definitely be disgusted by people. It is impossible for Lu Feng to talk to the mayors across the country in person, and not everyone will sell his face. Then there is only a little left, the exchange of benefits. All the thoughts popped up in an instant. Lu Feng was delighted, raised his hand and hit the ball with one shot, and said to District Chief Zhao, if you don't have to give anything, you can make the local people praise you. Will you do it? District Mayor Zhao didn't know what he meant, but such a good thing, which leader wouldn't want to do it? Come on, what's wrong? That's great, I will select a group of counties and cities across the country to do good deeds, Lu Feng said again with a shot. The original price of 3,990 TV sets is subsidized by the municipal government. The price, 3,499. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 814. District Chief Zhao stopped his movements, put his hands on the golf club, looked at Lu Feng and said, "Where does this money come from? Mr. Lu, don't you really think that all the leaders in the world treat you like me? I tell you, there is no second person in the world as good as me." Ha ha ha, of course I know that District Chief Zhao is good, but don't worry about the money, I will pay for the money, they just need to be famous, Lu Feng said with a smile. So good, District Chief Zhao's eyes lit up. If what Lu Feng said is true, this is definitely something to send warmth to the leader, comparable to a warm meal. If there is such a thing, why don't you start from me? District Chief Zhao said with a rapid speed. I will have a meeting when I go back tonight, and the district can decide this matter, and then you will pay the district account. 110 million, sell one to subsidize one. Sell one to subsidize one, Lu Feng heard what he meant. Weaputa sold one and gave him a note. He took the note and went to the district to stamp it and collect the money. I still have myself in my mind. It's not necessary, we mainly subsidize poor places. Lu Feng hit a shot, and the golf ball slid across the sunset and fell into the distance. District Mayor Zhao reminded him again, he must be vigilant to the leadership. It was after 6 o'clock in the evening, and I was sweating while playing. District Chief Zhao meant that we should start with him first, and it would be considered to sell him a face. Otherwise, people said that GFN Electronics was here, and the discounts were given to outsiders. Lu Feng could only make a fool of himself. In the area where GFN Electronics is located, even the poorest people can still have a certain guarantee of basic living. Moreover, most people have a better life than other places. The popularity of TV sets rate is very high. In such a place, there is no point in selling it. District Chief Zhao just wants to get a special fund from Lu Feng and put it there, and then continue to subsidize it. In the end, where did the money go? I'm afraid it's hard to find out. Back at the company, Lu Feng called Zhu Lidong over, and the two had a meeting in the office. A few minutes later, Zhu Lidong knocked on the door and walked in, and said to Lu Feng, "Mr. Lu, are you looking for me?" Lu Feng lit a cigarette, sat half-legged on the desk, and said, "I came up with a plan today, which is very feasible, aren't they staring at us for a discount? Then we will pick out 2 TV sets, there are no concessions, and the concessions are changed to municipal subsidies, that is to say, the state thinks our products are very good, and pays for subsidies, understand?" Zhu Lidong thought about it for a while, and instantly understood the difference. With the municipal endorsement, when ordinary people buy it, they must choose municipal subsidies. Such products are definitely more popular. This method is good, but it's not easy to talk when you go to talk, Zhu Lidong said worriedly. You don't know, some leaders in small places are really difficult to talk about, and the situation is one place by place. In this regard, I will talk first, and then follow the negotiated standards to negotiate with other places. Our requirement is that whoever accepts us, we will talk to whomever we have. If there are too many things to do, we will just talk about it. Just pull it down. Lu Feng pondered for a while and said, "First make up a list of people you're willing to contact, and then we'll talk." "Okay. I'll contact you as soon as possible," Zhu Lidong agreed. "By the way, this matter is kept secret. Now the whole industry is watching me. Once we make a move, other factories will definitely follow up immediately," Lu Feng instructed him, "understand? Clear? Not to mention Skyworth and Konka." Even Changhong in Sichuan and the pandas in Suzhou are all staring at Lu Feng. Although everyone ridiculed that Lu Feng couldn't come up with a plan for so many days, but if he did, none of these people would be able to sit down. Stable. Another 5 days passed in a flash. Everyone's tense nerves gradually began to relax, and they made several calls in private, thinking that Lu Feng couldn't come up with a better solution for Vipta, and he could maintain the current state. It's not easy anymore. The cousin of a relative of a senior executive of TCL happened to be in the marketing department of Viaputa, and his position was middle management. There have been a lot of meetings recently. When President Lu came back, the atmosphere was obviously different. It's been very busy since 5 days ago. I used to be able to quietly leave work for a while earlier, but now I can't. Puta's middle management complained. It's not easy to earn any money. Don't think I'm the vice president here, and I'm also under a lot of pressure. When I'm free, or it's New Year's Eve, let's sit down and have a good drink. The executive of TCL pulled over. This is also a trustee. Otherwise, I really don't know. How is your sales there? It's really difficult this year. That's right. What did you guys say in the meeting? Didn't Mr. Lu say that there should be a big move? This is a lot of noise, and Mr. Lu's big move has been talked about for so long, and there is still no news. I don't know. Mr. Zhu is busy during this time, but I can feel that there has been a big move recently. Really? Interest came from the other end of the phone. After 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Zhu Lidong entered Lu Feng's office with a document. In this section, he integrated a series of people such as market operations, legal affairs, and planning, and communicated with various counties and cities to formulate such a plan. A primary list. Mr. Lu, here is the list of 10 counties and cities, which shows the market share of each brand in the local market. The places we initially selected are all places with a low market share of Viaputa, which can also be reflected. The intensity of this event, Zhu Lidong said. Lu Feng flipped through the list and nodded. How's the contract going? The preliminary formulation has been completed, the relevant terms have been revised, and we have to see how to talk about it. We have set a ticket for tomorrow, Zhu Lidong said. Where to go first? Shaanxi. Huiran County. Zhu Lidong held a meeting in the evening and handed some things over to the vice president. As for what to do, he didn't say anything. But everyone knows in their hearts that there will be a lot of changes about Viaputa recently. In the evening, the middle-level manager of Viaputa drank some wine and felt that he was about the same age as others. Sitting at home, the more I think about it, the more I feel that the price has dropped. I suddenly remembered that I said that day that I didn't know much about the decision-making level, so I laughed at the other side. Looking back on it now, I always feel that he was mocking myself. The more I think about it, the more uncomfortable I feel. When he talked with the director of the marketing department today, when he talked about the recent trend of Mr. Zhu, they were very sure that there was a direction, and Mr. Lu would also be on a business trip tomorrow. There are a lot of people. There must be a big move. Hey. Fellow, are you asleep? He finally called. Not yet, just got off work. What's the matter? Do you have a rest tomorrow? Why don't you meet in Guangzhou for a drink? The other end of the phone invited him. I just got off work, and I'm busy in a meeting. You know, Mr. Lu, oh, I've been bothering him for a day or two. It's not over. After a meeting, the phone was full of words for Lu Feng. Disgusted, he slammed his mouth and said, Isn't this another meeting today to talk about Viaputa? You have to let me express my opinion, it's not good. The other end of the phone almost listened to the music and said, Aren't you middle-level management? Why are you so strict with the middle-level management? I'm just one level away from Lu Feng. I'm the deputy of the department. Let me tell you, the general deputy of the department is really not as good as me. Lu Feng is in front of me, and that's quite respectful, he boasted on the phone. On the other end of the phone, he couldn't help laughing. The vice president of the department was only one level away from Lu Feng? I'm afraid it's going to make people laugh, but he didn't say anything, just touted the other party a few words on the phone, and you must contact more when you have time. It's a little easier on the back road. You're right, I'll tell you, I'm here, I went to TCL, someone of your same level, someone has poached me, but the salary is really not high, you can participate there, I can participate. Really, don't believe it, I tell you, the latest marketing plan of Wepta has come out, he said with a little show off. The other end of the phone was shocked. This is a big deal. After calming down, he asked, Mr. Lu's marketing plan is absolutely shocking. I don't know which aspect it is this time. This is inconvenient to say. Do you know or don't you know? Then I must know. Do you really think I'm a middle-level management? It's just that you don't let me say that. We are both sensitive, do you know, this side is already a little smug. Mr. Xiao, I know you're amazing, but you have to prove it, otherwise, how would I know you're amazing? Well, let me say one thing first. Today I had a meeting with Chairman Li Dongsheng and decided to invest in the research and development of LCD screens. You said, it's a big deal. I know, we started research and development last year. It's not that I can't tell you a word. It seems that I don't know anything. Let's put it this way. Tomorrow Lu will bring the team to Huiran, Shaanxi. Amazing, I didn't expect you to be such a good guy. Let me tell you, if you change jobs from there, you'll have no problem being a vice president. Okay, so I hung up the phone. At 12 o'clock in the evening, the bosses of the whole industry received news that tomorrow Lu Feng and Zhu Lidong would lead the team to a small county town in Shaanxi called Huiran. Huang Hongsheng called Li Dongsheng. On the phone, Huang Hongsheng asked, the news should be true, but what is Lu Feng's trick this time? I don't know. Are you busy recently? What do you mean? Do you want to visit such a small place? I'm busy and don't have time, but I know about Huiran, the ancient Golden Beach battlefield, where the Yang family will be, Li Dongsheng recalled. There is still a bit of historical background, I don't have time, so let's go to sleep. The two hung up the phone. Li Dongsheng immediately called the head of the marketing department and booked tickets overnight. He had to go and see what tricks Lu Feng could play there. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 815. Overnight, the TV industry was caught in an introspection. Li Dongsheng went, but Huang Hongsheng and Chen Weirong didn't go. They seemed to feel that they had suffered a loss. In the end, except for Chang Hong, all of them bought tickets. Last year, the Panda TV factory underwent a round of reforms, from a pure state-run company to a mixed system. This change made the Panda TV show its second spring. At the beginning of this year, its monthly sales exceeded 250,000. Taiwan, setting a record in the past 5 years, and even sold 170,000 units in March. Ge Quanshun, the new general manager of Panda, bought a plane ticket to Shaanxi as soon as he heard the news of Lu Feng. Lu Feng started his business on the basis of pandas, and now he wants to ride Jiafeng Electronics to make the panda stand up. Ge Quanshun is 50 years old this year, and his family history can be considered a miracle. In his 30s, he was still living in the village brigade. He entered the city in 1985 and found a job in a brewery. Then he met a small section chief. The following year I heard that the agricultural machinery factory was insolvent and was about to go bankrupt. He searched for a relationship, and finally succeeded in turning the state-run into a private company in the form of white strips, but he still hung the state-run brand. Due to the complete procedures, he has run all over the country as the chairman of the agricultural machinery factory. to the agricultural machinery orders worth tens of millions. Later, he entrusted the production of these orders to Shandong Shifen Group and became a middleman. However, he placed these orders under his own agricultural machinery factory, and won many awards along the way. He became famous for a while. The price of 1 million was sold to a Hong Kong businessman, and the lawsuit is still pending. When Ji Quanshun became rich, he first married his wife, and then again screened state-owned enterprises nationwide. He had a few criteria for doing things. He must be listed as a state-owned enterprise, and the products he produced must have a market. After the bubble blows, the industry must be able to find the taker. Last year, because of the TV war, he successfully targeted the Panda factory, and he didn't plan to work for too long. After 2 or 3 years to build the market, he sold it. The rapid growth at the beginning of this year is due to the change of thinking. Panda's main focus is not on ordinary people, but on hotel consumption. Wholesale TV sets for high-end hotels, the price can be very low, and there are all kinds of quality. If you want Changhong, he can talk to you. Ji Quanshun was once known as a short-term business genius. No matter how rubbish a company was, after 2 or 3 years of tossing in his hands, he could sell it for several times the price. After 1 o'clock in the evening, before Ji Quanshun fell asleep, he called the person in charge of the marketing department in the factory. Let me tell you, whoever is making a fuss in the industry right now is staring at whoever is doing it. If you want to be famous, you have to get stronger. Puffiness is also fat, you understand? Come with me tomorrow, whether you can beat Lu Feng or not, now you have to stare at Lu Feng, do you understand? Ji Quanshun said to the phone. Understand. Ji Quanshun heard it, but the other side didn't understand it at all, but he didn't expect the other side to understand much, so he could sell the name first, then increase the sales, and then brag about the prospects of the TV industry. The next day, Lu Feng simply packed up and headed for the airport. This time there were 9 people in total, not too many. He had already communicated with the local municipality yesterday. Huiran, located in the northwest of Shaanxi, is under the jurisdiction of Shuozhou. Adjacent to Datong, the capital of coal, as a typical place in Shaanxi, coal noodles and vinegar are indispensable. There is a noodle restaurant in 3 steps, and a coal digger can be found in 5 steps. The population is not large, and the county is less than 300,000 people. A very typical small county town. At 9 o'clock in the morning, the plane took off and landed at Datong Airport at noon. In the airport, the person in charge of the reception in the county had been waiting for a long time. A banner was pulled up on the scene, which read "Warmly welcome Mr. Lu Feng, chairman of Jiafeng Electronics Group, to lead the team. Come to Huiran to inspect the work." Before Lu Feng got off the plane, Li Dongsheng had already walked down, and took 5 or 6 people to shake hands with these staff members, very polite. "Is this a Saman?" a staff member whispered. "I don't know what to do, I don't know, is it President Lu? You go and ask." He did not forget to instruct, "Remember to speak Mandarin." "Hello, I'm from our county. I want to ask, are you President Lu?" "I'm not Lu Feng, I'm Li Dongsheng from TCL, Li Dongsheng said with a smile. After a while, another group of people walked out. Chen Weirong, who took the lead, saw Li Dongsheng laughing loudly. The two shook hands and said, "I knew you would come. I have nothing to do recently, so I just came to the north for a walk," Li Dongsheng said with a smile. "So coincidental? Me too." By the time Lu Feng got off the plane, Li Dongsheng, Chen Weirong, Huang Hongsheng, and Ji Quanshun were almost all gathered at the airport, and they were chatting and laughing together. When he came out, Lu Feng also told Zhu Lidong that he would eat this meal today and officially start the discussion tomorrow. "I believe that as long as the other party's appetite is not particularly large, there is basically no problem. After all, this is a matter of giving welfare. But as soon as he came out and saw such a large group of people gathered here, Lu Feng's face froze. Zhu Lidong raised his head and saw these people, subconsciously exclaimed, Oh, Mr. Lu? What a coincidence. Long time no see. Huang Hongsheng walked over with a smile on his face, stretched out his hand to shake Lu Feng, and joked, "What are you doing here in daytime? It's not like me, think let's do coal business, why? You are also interested in selling coal from Datong to Pingdingshan." Lu Feng was startled. He adjusted his mentality in the next second, looked at Huang Hongsheng and said, "I didn't expect President Huang to have the same opinion as me, but I've never been a person who likes others, so go ahead and do it." "I'm joking, I'm just here to play." Huang Hongsheng pointed to the others and said with a smile. As a result, everyone came. "You said it was a coincidence. It's such a coincidence. Okay, then I'll change the place." After Lu Feng finished speaking, he glanced at Zhu Lidong and said, "Stay first, book a ticket for tomorrow, and go somewhere else." Chen Weirong came over, heard that Lu Feng was leaving, and said, "Don't tell me, where is Mr. Lu going? Take us, we really have nothing to do recently." "Nothing to do? Then you've come to the right place. Stay in Shaanxi and wash briquettes. When will you go back?" After finishing speaking, Lu Feng walked towards the welcoming team. The two sides greeted each other politely for a while and got into the car and went straight to the county. If they cooperate, they can cooperate. In the car, Lu Feng breathed a sigh of relief, looked at Zhu Lidong and asked, "What's going on? They're all here, they must know something. I'm also puzzled. I've only been in meetings with these few people these days, and the others haven't said anything." Zhu Lidong frowned, not knowing what he had leaked, but he accidentally leaked the itinerary when booking a flight. "Then are we still talking about this cooperation now?" the legal person in charge said. "Of course, you can also sign an exclusive contract with the local municipality or something." Look at it again. Lu Feng sat there and closed his eyes, feeling in his heart that this was an opportunity, but he didn't think about how to start. After arriving at the place, I greeted the local county leaders for a while, and discussed the direction of cooperation. At 3:30 in the afternoon, I returned to the hotel to rest. The county magistrate heard that in addition to Lu Feng, there were a lot of bosses coming. Anyway, they all met, so they just received them together. Huang Hongsheng and several others were also straightforward. They were willing to carry out what kind of cooperation Lu Feng had with them. Try. The county leaders laughed crookedly when they heard this. They didn't know which god of wealth they were worshipping. They were so smart, but a large number of people gave them money. After being polite, they arranged to rest in the hotel. In the hotel room, Lu Feng sat on the sofa and looked out the window at the scenery that belongs to the north. He said, "You don't need to ask. It must have been leaked. As for whether the specific content was leaked, I don't know. Mr. Lu, my idea is to sign a contract with the locals as soon as possible to make this matter. Once they get involved, I'm afraid it will be a bit late." Zhu Lidong worried. "It's too late," Lu Feng sighed and said, "Do you really think that the masters in the county are so easy to pass up? They already have a basic understanding of our plan. If we don't do it, we will talk to other manufacturers. The initiative is no longer with us. I'm going to make a call." Zhu Lidong stood up and walked outside. After dialing the phone, he said, "Hey, Secretary Qian? I'm Mr. Zhu from Jiafeng. I would like to ask, now, regarding cooperation, the county has what does it mean in there? I'll tell you bluntly. I received a few more bosses just now. They all said that they can be better than you. Let's talk about it tomorrow, how about it?" The tone of the voice on the other end of the phone was obviously a lot tougher. "That's it, okay, then get in touch," Zhu Lidong said politely and hung up the phone. Back in the room, Lu Feng's guess was correct. Zhu Lidong said, They have already started to pick and choose. Lu Feng stood up and looked out the window with some worry, and asked, did they tell those people about the specific direction of business cooperation? I didn't say it, and we just sent them a rough idea. Zhu Lidong thought about it and said, let's change the place, it's the same for us. No, as soon as we leave, the local leaders will definitely not let them go, and the direction of cooperation will be fully revealed at that time. Once this subsidy plan is launched, it will be very detrimental to us. Now the county is talking to us like this, nothing more than I just want to squeeze some more oil and water from us, Lu Feng said solemnly. Huang Angshen's gang is so idle, they dare to follow. Then what should I do? Now, Zhu Lidong has run out of tricks, which is equivalent to creating a peerless sword, allowing the opponent to grab it, and possibly hacking himself to death with one sword, which is simply embarrassing. Since it's here, dig a hole and bury them all. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 816. This county is really rudimentary. There is only one cross street in the county, and the rest of the 7 or 8 high-rise buildings are bungalows. The only 4-star hotel in the county is the Kuyi Hotel, which is mainly used for government reception. Huang Hongsheng and everyone were arranged to live here. Downstairs, Li Dongsheng and several people were sitting in a room full of smoke. Everyone looked at each other, and Chen Weirong said, everyone doesn't know anything, so they were led by Lu Feng to the whole country. What are you doing? What are you doing in this small place? The key is to be afraid now. I'm really afraid. If something big comes out, who can stand it? Li Dongsheng slapped both hands and said very bluntly. This is very unpleasant. It seems that so many people are afraid of Lu Feng, but they also know in their hearts that they are really going to toss, they are really afraid. There are all old comrades in arms here, and only Ge Quanshun is sitting there alone, which is a little bit inconvenient. They all discussed it, and the current situation is that they can afford it. If Lu Feng stayed here for a month, they would be able to accompany them for a month. The key is that Lu Feng can't afford it. There are a lot of things waiting for him at Jiafeng Electronics. So I think it makes strategic sense for us to stay here now. Even if we just drag Lu Feng, it will be a success. Huang Hongsheng defined this matter. Inside the room, Lu Feng was smoking a cigarette and looked at the gray sky outside. The weather here was still a bit gloomy and cold. Coal mining and infrastructure construction all year round were backward, and the whole world was gray, as if covered with a layer of coal. The person in charge of legal affairs said to Lu Feng, Mr. Lu, I saw them living downstairs. This. How to do it? Zhu Lidong was a little bit in trouble, and said, change place. It's not a matter of changing places, but our marketing plan can't be leaked. Once they get it, it will spread quickly across the country. The first one will always be enough to eat, and the second one will never get enough to eat. Lu Feng leaned on the chair and scratched his head irritably. He sighed and asked, how is the county? Do these people have a big appetite? Before I didn't come, I was very polite on the phone, but now I'm starting to pull it up a bit, Zhu Lidong said. For such a small place to be favored by a large group, in this era, it is like meeting the god of wealth, and now that so many companies have come here, the county is a little confused. In the county meeting room, the county magistrate Ye Chengxiang sat there and looked at the people present. Everyone was quiet for a while, and finally the magistrate Ye said, do you think so many companies have come to us without a word? What news we don't have? They couldn't figure out why it was like this, but it just happened. There must be a reason, or else these bosses would go crazy and come from the south to such a place where birds don't shit. Mayor Ye, will it have something to do with the new district in the north? The finance bureau Wang asked suspiciously. A sentence seems to wake up the dreamer, and the eyes of the people present are bright. This is possible. Since the early 1980s, there have been rumors that the south and the north are open to the outside world. It is very rare. I heard that it is necessary to draw a circle in this area. Everyone has been waiting for this circle for almost 20 years. A look of pride appeared on Ye County Mayor's face. Unexpectedly, I would encounter this kind of thing in my lifetime. I cleared my throat, picked up the enamel cup in front of me, blew off the tea leaves on it, took a sip, and a soothing sound came out of my throat. Then we don't need to be so nervous about GFN Electronics. Now they are begging us to let them perform, the county magistrate said happily. Everyone present looked relaxed, looked at each other with smiles, and good days were finally coming. Lu Feng stood upstairs and watched people coming and going downstairs, thinking quickly in his mind. Before he knew it was getting dark outside, Lu Feng suddenly said, "The plan remains the same, it's still the same, but it's just the same. Change the details." "Where?" Zhu Lidong asked curiously. "The original name belonged to them, and the money was with us. Now it has been changed to give money to the county and the goods to the county, and it has become a model of complete cooperation," Lu Feng said solemnly. "No one is worried about handing over the money and goods to the county. If the family deducts it, then there is really nothing left." Zhu Lidong felt that this change would prevent the other party from jumping into the pit. "Of course, if it's just our obligation, then this group of people will definitely not be like this. We are not playing with money this time, but with power." Lu Feng smiled slightly. "So much money and goods are handed over to the county. The county must help sell it, leading the platform, and the common people still see it as being affordable, but what kind of people would buy it? Let me tell you, local entrepreneurs will buy it, and people who want to curry favor with him will buy it, and they will buy them in large batches. If so, doesn't this logic work?" Lu Feng laughed and said, "What do you think? Do they believe it?" Everyone pondered the logic and thought it made sense and was very feasible. Once these people put money and goods into a part of it and were dragged down, GFN Electronics won more than half of it. "Just follow this plan first. It's getting late, I'll treat you to dinner. Cut the noodles with a knife." Lu Feng stood up and waved his hand. "Let's go." When going downstairs, Huang Hongsheng happened to meet a few people in the elevator, and everyone smiled when they met, and their smiles were extraordinarily fake. "Mr. Lu, what are you doing?" Li Dongsheng asked. "Go eat a bowl of knife-cut noodles. How about you?" Lu Feng asked. "Same. How about one piece?" "I'm a treat." "It's fate that we can meet here," Lu Feng invited him very rudely. "Okay, no problem." A group of people walked together, found a noodle restaurant that looked quite high-end, ordered a few hot dishes, cold dishes, knife-cut noodles, and asked for a few bottles of Fen wine during the chat. After 3 rounds of wine and 2 bowls of noodles, the atmosphere at the scene was pretty good. Ge Quanshun is a well-informed man who knows a little bit about everything. He is the most active at the dinner table. He asked Lu Feng, "Mr. Lu, I'm just curious, what are you doing here? Can you tell me directly?" "Mr. Lu is here, in fact, just like us, it's just leisurely," Chen Weirong said with a ha-ha. "Mr. Chen, you have time, but I don't. I'll tell you the truth." Lu Feng pondered for a long time, looked at the crowd and said with a smile, "I'm here to play, ha 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 ha." The people who were listening intently could only smile awkwardly. Ge Quanshun burped and said, "I'll go to the bathroom. I'm not feeling well either, let's go." Half of the people at the dinner table stood up and walked out. Lu Feng ate with his head down, and after a while he quietly winked at Zhu Lidong. Zhu Lidong took out a cigarette from his pocket and said, "Would you like to go out for a cigarette? Are you still going out to smoke? The province is choking." Lu Feng was talking, stood up and walked outside. Standing at the door of the toilet where Ge Quanshun and the others were, he lit a cigarette. Lu Feng said in a just right voice, "How are the leaders in the county talking?" "Mr. Lu, I don't think this is reliable. Where can you sell such goods? You still have to rely on the market." Zhu Lidong seemed to complain. You know shit, you've robbed them from the market alone. How many times have I told you that Jiexun's pager is a very good example, you still haven't understood it, Lu Feng said angrily. Just after going to the toilet, he washed his hands beside Ji Quanshun froze in front of the sink, leaned out slightly, saw Lu Feng and Zhu Lidong smoking at the door of the toilet, and hurriedly retracted his body, his heart beating wildly for a moment. Huang Hongsheng, who was squatting in the pit, also heard a little, opened the door slightly, and stuck his head out. There are not many pits in the men's toilet. A buddy stood in line outside. When he saw the door opened, he stuck his head out and said angrily, "Brother, do you pull it? Why don't you play it?" "Shut up," Huang Hongsheng hurriedly retracted his head. "I really think TVs and pagers are two completely different things. You scold me for not selling well. Now that I make such a thing and follow these people behind me, I can't do it at all." Zhu Lidong's voice was full of resentment. "Keep your voice down so people can hear you," Lu Feng ordered. "They're not in this toilet, Mr. Lu." "I don't think it's going to work if the TV is given a leadership privilege," Zhu Lidong retorted. You are a pig's head. If I made it myself this time, I'll open you up first. Let me ask you something, how much do you think Mao Tai should be worth?" Lu Feng asked him. "How much is Mao Tai worth? 200 or 300? There are so many wines, why is it 200 or 300 per bottle? You don't know what this wine is given to it? So, we should also put some value on the TV now." "What value?" "The value of leadership. Our TVs are not sold to the market. Our TVs are used by some people to buy them in large batches. As for how they buy them back, it has nothing to do with us." Lu Feng smoked a cigarette and said to Zhu Lidong, "It's a humming non-demand market. I still feel unreliable. Just wait and see. Changhong sells more than 10 million units a year. That's the power of the masses. You wait for Weaputa to sell 10 million units this year. I'll show you the power of leadership." Lu Feng finished speaking, puffed a cigarette butt and went back. "It seems that the leaders have let you figure it out, really," Zhu Lidong snorted disdainfully and followed. Ji Quanshun, who had just washed his hands for a long time, saw the fog in his heart in an instant. This method is good, and he doesn't have to compete with other markets. As long as he cooperates with various counties and cities, he can completely save advertising costs. It should be sold to fixed companies. Crowds, so ads are useless. Ji Quanshun's brain began to move. The feasibility of this method is very high. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 817. Back at the dinner table, Chen Weirong and the others found that Huang Hongsheng and Ji Quanshun, who went to the bathroom, did not have too many expressions, and they felt as if something had happened. Lu Feng sat there and watched everyone come back. He coughed, picked up the wine glass in his hand, looked around and said, "Everyone can sit down here and say what's in my heart. I am filled with emotion. It's been 4 years, everyone can't help anyone, and sometimes I really feel that it's good to have you in this world. I'll give you a toast," Lu Feng said, and stood up. Everyone present was a little stunned. They didn't know where he came out of nowhere. Before he could figure out the key, Lu Feng said, "I used to have it right. I live in your place, and I hope to be more tolerant. I am young and impulsive. I am sorry to everyone. I am wrong. In order to apologize, I will do it first as a respect." Lu Feng raised his head and drank a glass of beer. Not to mention Chen Weirong, even Huang Hongsheng was stunned. Hiccup. Lu Feng hiccuped and continued, "I'm really accepting my fate on the sales volume of Weaputa." Zhu Lidong, who had been unaware of the situation, reacted immediately, pulled Lu Feng's hand and said, "Mr. Lu, are you drinking too much?" "I didn't drink too much, my mind is very clear now," Lu Feng said solemnly. But how can we throw in the towel? We still have a chance, there is still a great opportunity in the Wiputa market, Mr. Lu, keep going. Zhu Lidong was a little scared, as if he was particularly afraid that Lu Feng would really put the TV set. The industry seems to be marginalized within the group. Others are very embarrassed now, let him persuade him, it seems inappropriate, do not persuade, I feel that the atmosphere is not right. It's enough to do the VCD and the pager, that's it. Lu Feng turned around and left. Seeing this, Zhu Lidong stood up and chased out. The two left the restaurant one after the other, leaving everyone present looking at each other. Huang Hongsheng was the first to speak and asked Ge Quanshun, did you hear something in the bathroom? I heard a little bit, but I didn't hear it all. There were many people and it was very noisy, Ge Quanshun said directly. What was said in the toilet? Do you believe what Lu Feng said? Chen Weirong felt as if he had missed a lot. Who doesn't know who? Let me tell you, his play is too fake, isn't he just trying to deceive us? Li Dongsheng has been paying attention to the situation of the audience, and now he knows one thing, that is, Ge Quanshun and Huang Hongsheng are in heard something in the toilet. I'm not leaving anyway, so let's do it first. Go back. Li Dongsheng stood up while speaking, looked at Ge Quanshun, and said, Mr. Ge, you didn't hear anything. I really don't. Besides, we are all brothers, right? If I know something, I will definitely tell you, Ge Quanshun said sincerely. Stop, stop, Huang Hongsheng raised his hand and said, since I met Lu Feng, I don't want to hear the words of brothers anymore, so let's go back and rest. A few people went back to the hotel with a lot of stuff. Huang Hongsheng and the three were wearing a pair of trousers and gathered in a room to talk briefly about things. It seems to be making Maotai products, Huang Hongsheng said with a serious face, I think we should follow up, at least we have to find out what they are doing. Then go back. Chen Weirong nodded and said, they will contact the county, and we will find out when the time comes. So for the past few days, Li Dongsheng raised his eyebrows and said, keeping the same and responding to all changes. If the three think it makes sense, they will do it first. Ge Quanshun returned to the room and was in a mess. Lu Feng's plan kept pondering in his mind. He felt that this plan was very feasible, so he cooperated with the leaders of the small county towns that were not in the mainstream. Looking at these people, in the county, they are the ones who cover the sky with one hand. However, Ge Quanshun wanted to be cautious, he also saw that Lu Feng was a little abnormal today and needed to wait for further confirmation. The next day, at around 9 in the morning, in the reception room of the hotel, Lu Feng met the leaders of the county. The county magistrate held Lu Feng's hand and said politely, Mr. Lu is really young and promising. Where is it? Lu Feng said to him, this time I came to our county, and I really felt deeply. The south has developed very well, but it is still not good here. That's right, so, it's very necessary to develop the north side, county chief asked with a smile, and the others were also looking forward to it. It's so necessary. Lu Feng sat down, feeling that something wasn't right, but he couldn't tell what was wrong, so he could only look at them with a smile on his face. Magistrate Ye was happy when he heard this. It seems that this matter is well known. Otherwise, so many entrepreneurs will run here, and they will be secretly unhappy. It is really capital that is in charge. Such a big thing, he is in this place. Those in charge don't know, but these vampires are well informed one by one. Then I'll be straight to the point. We haven't received any news yet. If you want to invest now, we can provide you with some preferential policies, such as the cooperation plan you submitted before, which I think is very good, the mayor affirmed. Not only did Lu Feng not understand it, but Zhu Lidong and the others on the side were also confused, as if there was something they said they didn't know. Lu Feng looked at the county magistrate and said, I want to ask, I haven't received any news about this matter? What does it mean? Mr. Lu, don't make fun of me, let's get straight to the point. Have you heard that the North is going to draw an open economic zone? And then went here to invest, the county magistrate said very frankly. Northern Open Economic Zone? All of Lu Feng's thoughts became normal in an instant. He didn't expect such rumors to exist. He nodded with bright eyes and said, you know. I haven't heard anything, but I know one thing, that is, if the country wants to balance the economy between the North and the South, it has to draw a circle for the North as well. Ours is very suitable, the coal economic circle. Someone was talking about this more than 10 years ago. It happened, but I didn't expect it to come true. Magistrate Ye sighed with emotion and said, it makes sense not to notify us. If it were to be made public, how many entrepreneurs would run to us? What? That's not it, so keep a low profile. As for my cooperation, some areas may need to be changed. I think the county should have more control. In order to ensure the interests of the common people, it is best for the county to lead everything, and the common people also don't worry, we are also at ease, Lu Feng said frankly. Magistrate Ye glanced at the others, and everyone was secretly laughing. Sure enough, the world still needs competition. When we communicated on the phone before, Jiafeng Electronics' words were very tough. According to the person in charge, if so, this is what they spend to put money on the faces of these leaders. Their original intention was to control everything by themselves, but they were rejected by Jiafeng's people at the time. Now that Lu Feng took the initiative to bring it up, Magistrate Ye felt that the initiative seemed to be back in his own hands. Since Mr. Lu said so, then we have to accept it. As for the contract, let's talk about it. Today is mainly to meet and eat, Magistrate Ye said politely. The others were chatting with each other, and the scene was quite lively. It could be seen that the leaders of these various departments were very happy. The poor days are gone forever, and the next step is to welcome the presence of the nation's attention. Such an advantage will definitely be delayed, at least until it is publicized across the country. The reason for the delay is very simple, that is, let these enterprises compete for a while and roll in, and only the county can get better results. Many benefits. Lu Feng stood up, shook hands, and left after a few polite words. A few minutes later, Huang Hongshen walked in and greeted each other politely, but the words were still the same. After leaving the living room, Huang Hongshen was in shock. Northern Economic Development Zone? Never heard of it? Before lunch, these people all called back and inquired about the Northern Economic Development Zone through various channels. This rumor was published in the newspapers back then, and it was once rumored to be true. But no one dares to say this for sure now, it can only be said that it is possible. There were too many accidents, which made people a little confused. During lunch, the county magistrate Ye accompanied them and set up 3 tables in total. Everyone was muttering in their hearts, but this matter seemed to be coming true. After lunch, Lu Feng was smoking in the corridor. Ge Quanshun walked out, looked at Lu Feng and smiled. Mr. Lu, we are relatives. Mr. Ge, I'm really happy that the panda can shine in your hands. Lu Feng pulled out a cigarette and handed it over. Can you smoke it? Ge Quanshun took the cigarette and lit it, and asked casually, you're talking about the Northern Economic Development Zone, is it true? Why didn't you hear a little bit of wind or the news broadcast? I guess it's fake. This county is so poor that many roads haven't been built yet. Those leaders are all skinny and skinny. When they see money, they don't look like a wolf sees blood. Lu Feng said in a low voice, I told you said, don't listen to him cheating. There have been many cheating enterprises in poor counties in the past few years, and finally brought down the enterprises. Really? It's too scary, Ge Quanshun thought to himself, this must be the real thing. I advise you, let's go. I've checked the bottom for the past 2 days, but it doesn't work. Lu Feng winked at him and said, seeing Huang Hongshen walking out, He immediately coughed and stood up straight. Stamped and stamped, how fake it is. Huang Hongsheng stared at Lu Feng for a while, then turned to Ji Quanshun again. Does Mr. Huang smoke? Ji Quanshun squeezed out a smile. Smoke? Huang Hongsheng lit a cigarette and said, President Ji and Mr. Lu are quite close, but it's also true that the two of you have a long history, and it's normal. No, I'm just smoking a cigarette here. Ji Quanshun immediately defended himself that he couldn't get rid of this small group, relying on himself alone. He wanted to overwhelm GFN Electronics and turn the TV into Mao Tai's plan, but it couldn't be implemented. Down. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 818. What? Mr. Huang started doing this kind of thing? Did Mr. Ge say something to me, so he should be pulled out and shot? Lu Feng looked at Huang Hongsheng and teased. How could that be? I'm afraid that Mr. Ge will get too close to you and become your brother if he slips, Huang Hongsheng said with a smile. President Ge should be happy. Ge Quanshun was in his 50s. Facing these two young people who were much younger than him, he couldn't resist for a while. He didn't know what they were talking about, so he could only smile awkwardly. The county is so big, and the population of the county seat is only more than 100,000 people. If you fart in the east, you will hear it in the west soon. How could no one know about such a large battle in the county today? Some enterprises in the county have already heard the rumors, especially the news of GFN Electronics' arrival in private, and it seems that this small town will undergo a 1,000-year drastic change within a few days. There are only a few enterprises in the county. One chemical fertilizer factory has changed from a state-owned enterprise to a mixed system, and the other is a large sheep farm. There are no high-end industrialized enterprises in the whole county. Most of China's economy is built around these two companies. In the room, Zhu Lidong was dazed, smoking a cigarette and looking at Lu Feng. Why did you run out of an economic zone again? What should I do now? Don't worry, things have already started to develop on their own, and we don't even need to build momentum ourselves. Lu Feng leaned back on his chair and said, in a week, help them pave the way. So what's the store? Zhu Lidong is really not good at this. Just as Lu Feng was about to speak, the waiter knocked on the door and asked Lu Feng, Mr. Lu, the boss of Renhe Fertilizer Factory wants to see you. What do you think? Fertilizer factory. Lu Feng couldn't figure out what the fertilizer factory wanted him to do for a while. This is our big boss, but he has money. The waiter felt his doubts, as if he looked down on the boss of this small place, and there was a bit of comparison in his words. Oh, see you then. Lu Feng stood up and tidied up his clothes, and said to Zhu Lidong, the paving bricks are here. When Lu Feng went out, he saw a man in his 40s and 50s in the parlor. He was wearing a suit, with a very bloated body and a briefcase tucked between his armpits. Hello, I'm Lu Feng from GFN Electronics. Lu Feng stepped forward and extended his hand politely. Hello, I'm the general manager of the chemical fertilizer factory. Just call me Mr. Hao. You can sit down. You're welcome, Mr. Hao said, sat down with Erlang's legs crossed, took out a pack of Zonghua cigarettes, and handed it to Lu Feng. Zhen coughed, spit out a mouthful of phlegm, spit it in the small trash can beside his feet, lit a cigarette and said to Lu Feng, I heard about your company, but this is the first time I know you are so young. This person doesn't like to go around detours and ask straight to the point, what are you doing here? His actions just now, especially the mouthful of phlegm, made Lu Feng stunned for a moment, and said, since you are happy, I am happy too. Do you know about the Northern Economic Development Zone? Northern Economic Development Zone. Mr. Hao's face was full of interest. Yeah, it's a big deal, don't tell anyone else, you know. And I'm here for investment. You'd better have a good relationship with the leaders in the county. Lu Feng said with a warm-hearted look. The county magistrate and I are good buddies. I have driven 1/10 of the employment in this county. As soon as the fertilizer factory shuts down, after 2 days and the beginning of spring, the farmers in the village are completely gone. I tell you this, eat, call anytime. Mr. Howe's tone was full of bragging. That was in the past. Do you think, once it becomes Shenzhen in the north, will people take care of you? Why do I come all the way here? It's just to slap the horses, Lu Feng said in a low voice. Think about it, I'm right. Wrong. For a while, Mr. Hong didn't know whether what Lu Feng said was true or not, but with so many big bosses gathered in this small place, he really couldn't think of a second reason. Then Mr. Lu, what do you mean by telling me such a big news? Mr. Hao wondered. You also saw that I'm not the only one here, the others are competing with me. I need to win over a few locals, understand? Lu Feng winked at him. Oh, that's it. Mr. Hao accepted this reason. The two sat down and chatted a lot. Mr. Hao is definitely a presence in the local business world. Although he is worth no more than 6 or 7 million, in the eyes of ordinary people, this is already the ceiling of imagined wealth. Lu Feng's words are also very simple. This place has been divided into the next Shenzhen, and a lot of companies will come over in the near future. By then, brokerage will be a business, so Lu Feng came here to meet the leaders. Get along well with the leaders, but still lack of opportunities. What is the opportunity? It doesn't belong to you, but suddenly one day, it is given to you, and all the leaders have in their hands are opportunities. Then Mr. Lu meant to find a local collaborator. Mr. Hao finally felt something. Mr. Hao is really smart. You and Magistrate Ye have a close relationship, but now you need to deepen the relationship, Lu Feng pointedly said. It's simple, let's do it. You give me 100,000 yuan, and I'll send it to you, Mr. Hao said very directly. Don't, this method is very inferior and rude. It's insulting. Lu Feng hurriedly stopped his thoughts. Mr. Lu, you have a lot of things to do. As a gift, it's not just a bottle of Maotai and a stack of money. Then what do you say? Hao is already a little impatient, too embarrassing. This is a kind of art, don't be rude. My idea is to use the TV as a medium. We will cooperate with the county, and then you go to buy, and then I will buy this batch of TVs back from you. In this way, come on. The leader helped the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur thanked him. He made money. Lu Feng clapped his hands and said, the face is also very good looking. Mr. Hao sighed, reluctantly agreed with Lu Feng's approach, and said, then what's in it for me? It's all good. Lu Feng stared at him with wide eyes. It's all good to be involved in this matter. Why doesn't he understand? What are the benefits? Mr. Hao asked in confusion. At least you have a close relationship with the leaders. You think, since you want to set up a development zone, you must build it first. These projects are all money, and secondly, you can occupy the land and sell it to the companies that come later. It's really not good. Help people. Introducing a leader, there are all opportunities here. Lu Feng looked at him. This person was about to feed his food to his mouth, so he still didn't know what to do. Mr. Hao looked troubled, shook his head and said, the money you said is too slow. Is there anything more direct? Lu Feng had never seen such a short-sighted boss, so he came to work as a day laborer. Do a day's work cost a day's money? Lu Feng hates this kind of person the most, because he is not good at fooling around. Well, you buy a TV from the leader, return it to me, and I'll give you 10 yuan, how about it? Lu Feng had no choice but to offer a condition. Let's do this first, I'll go back and think about it. Mr. Hao stood up and picked up his bag and said. Mr. Hao, there must be a big pattern in doing business. You must understand this sentence. When you dare to give up the millions in front of you, there will be hundreds of millions rushing towards you tomorrow. There will be earth-shaking changes here. Lu Feng moved towards he said seriously. My small place earns all the money in front of me. If you go to the village to collect food, you will be deducted every cent from you, and I will talk about it next time. Mr. Hao smiled and said, first go back and discuss with my wife. Lu Feng watched him leave, and if he wanted to stir up this matter, these local companies had to get agitated first, otherwise people like Huang Hongsheng would not be caught at all. 10 minutes later, Lu Feng found the phone number of the owner of the sheep farm. After the call was connected, Lu Feng exchanged a few words and introduced each other. Mr. Lu, what are you doing here? The other end of the phone asked curiously, how about inviting you to dinner tonight? I'm also busy. I know Mr. Niu, you have a big business here and are very powerful, so I want to work with you. Let me tell you, Huiran is planning to enter the Northern Economic Development Zone. You can do this. Don't go out and talk nonsense, I only told you. Lu Feng was mysterious. When the bull on the phone heard it, he was instantly refreshed. He had been wondering for the past 2 days, why all the gods were running to this small place. It turned out that there was such a big thing in it. Lu Feng explained that to Mr. Niu again. After Mr. Niu listened, he asked, I just want to ask a question, what benefits can I get? There are opportunities everywhere, can't you feel it? Lu Feng was going crazy. I am a sheep farmer. Now our company has 60,000 sheep, involving the wool industry, the mutton industry, the sheep offal industry, and the sheep dung industry. I don't know much about you. How do you make money from miscellaneous things? Niu always wondered. Lu Feng tried to explain to him the key, how many industries a place will develop when it develops, such as technology, electronics, mass consumption, luxury goods, mobile communications, wired telephones, finance, infrastructure, etc., but this Niu always knows raising sheep. He didn't understand what Lu Feng said, and he was annoying on the phone. Mr. Lu, should I talk to him? Zhu Lidong tried. Lu Feng knew that he couldn't explain it more clearly, and if he wanted to arouse their emotions, he couldn't say it too complicatedly. Suddenly Lu Feng thought of a way, and said, well, come over at night, I'll tell you in detail, you can call more people, and all the local people who have a good face will be called over, will you? No problem, I also want to meet the boss in Shenzhen. The other end of the phone looked quite excited. Lu Feng hung up the phone and called Mr. Hao again, asking him to come to class at night, but the time was staggered with Mr. Niu. Mr. Lu, what class are you taking? Zhu Lidong wondered. Let them get excited and believe in my class. You can ask someone to communicate with the hotel. We want a conference room with microphones and speakers, Lu Feng ordered. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 819. The hotel vacated a small auditorium and had dinner early in the evening. Huang Hongsheng and the others were still learning whether the news about the economic development zone was true or not. Lu Feng had already changed his clothes and appeared in the auditorium. Mr. Niu came first, a short, squat man about 1.7 meters tall. The little bosses around him were very interested in the bosses from the south. They made a few phone calls. Anyway, they were idle. There were more than 50 people. You are Mr. Lu? Hello, hello. Mr. Niu stretched out his hand and shook hands with Lu Feng. He smelled of sheep mutton, which was rather pungent. Lu Feng coughed and said, you are really simple, it is the breath of this kind of life that really blows your face. It's normal for us to raise sheep, and it's normal for us to have a little smell on our bodies. Today, our bosses, big and small, have come. Didn't you say you want to give a lecture? Let's start, Niu always said straightforwardly. Lu Feng strode onto the stage, the voice below was a little noisy, discussing what to eat at night. Who is going to gossip again? Lu Feng held the wired microphone in his hand, and said, everyone be quiet, I'll do it first. A self-introduction: I am the founder of GMA Foods, chairman of GFN Electronics Group, chairman of Hurricane Capital, and also named as a global leader in strategic investment. Why do I get this title? Because I represent wealth. Just listen in my class, there is no one who does not make a fortune. After these words, the audience fell silent in an instant. Is there anything in this world that can be more attractive than making money? I can assure you that after listening to what I said today, you will open the valve of wisdom and embark on a life of wealth. I know that everyone is rich and has a good face in the local area, but you are everything in front of me. No, don't talk about you, it's President Niu, even in front of me. Lu Feng asked the crowd, guess how much money I have? 1 million, an ant shouted. 1 million? You look down on me too much, continue to guess bigger, use your imagination, my wealth can challenge the imagination of all of you present, it's so awesome, Lu Feng looked bullish said. The people below are quite dissatisfied, and everyone is not poor, and none of the people present are worth less than 200,000. Who is the poor bully? Now in this era, there are 200,000 assets in the middle and upper classes. Not to mention 1994, but now you have 200,000. 10 million. 50 million. The numbers kept calling up, but Lu Feng kept shaking his head. He just wanted to slowly shock these people and make their heads numb. No one guessed it? I will announce it next. Before the announcement, I have a small request. In the lecture tonight, everyone thinks I am right, so give me a round of applause, okay? Okay, tell me, how much? Is it hundreds of millions? Everyone was chattering and talking, looking quite messy. Let me tell you, I don't deserve to play in the world without tens of billions. That's right, tens of billions. I'm doing business with those rich people in the world, so how did I earn this money? To make a lot of money, there must be a big pattern, understand? Lu Feng looked at the crowd with a smile on the stage and said, if a person goes to CuteChildren, this person will never make a fortune in this life, I applaud. There was sparse applause from the scene. If you want to make money, you have to spend money first, and the money has to be spent in a structured way. There is a saying, don't show your wealth to the poor, don't show your cowardice to the rich. What does that mean? Lu Feng said loudly, you have money, pretending to be in front of the poor is useless. At most, he will be jealous of you, and maybe he will scold you behind your back and borrow money from you. There is no chance for development. But you must pretend to be generous in front of the rich, 1 million to say 100 million. Those bosses are rich people. If there is a project to play with you tomorrow, isn't this an opportunity? People are all about opportunities in their entire lives, so you need to be generous, especially men. When you face a beautifully dressed woman, do you want to invite me to dinner? Lu Feng asked. Want. Don't want. Look at you, the one who said that I want to invite her to dinner is definitely promising. There was once a very beautiful and temperamental woman who asked me to invite her to dinner. Men, there must be a pattern, or not, or the most expensive one. The meal cost 180,000 yuan, and she will never forget it. Later, wherever she went, she told people about me, and my reputation went out. Lu Feng said to the crowd, if you understand, please applaud. There was another round of applause at the scene, much better than before. That's why you have to be big, a man, you have to be big. I once went out to talk business with a foreigner. The foreigner's surname is Guy, his name is Gates. I don't know if you know each other, so he asked me, how big is your house? Lu Feng paused and said, this is provoking me. If I say, my fake house is 2,000 square meters. The layout is small, what kind of person am I? The representative of wealth, I answered him on the spot. The figure, 9.6 million bungalow kilometers, please applaud if you think it is grand. This time, Lu Feng took the lead in applauding, standing on the stage and clapping his hands vigorously. The simple mechanical movements can make the brain enter a simple thinking mode, follow the inertia to a certain state of being input, and the group performs simple movements, which can be very powerful. Suppress personal character and obey, so as to be instilled or exercise obedience. Every era has opportunities in every era. In my eyes, money is everywhere. The money in this world is so lucrative. I used to use a few words to get back hundreds of millions from Xiangjiang. You heard it right, just how many? In other words, a Xiangjiang person gave several hundred million and let me spend it. Do I care about several hundred million? Last year, I directly returned it to him 10 times. Why is there such a profit-making efficiency? It mainly depends on local development. Lu Feng was already quite fascinated by the scene. He began to turn the conversation to the Northern Economic Development Zone, and said, Shenzhen has been so successful these years, I don't know if you have been there. Is the side cover okay? It is good. I want to tell you another piece of news, that is, we have also made plans here. This is the reason why I came all the way, but it will not be announced to the public for the time being, so what is the most important during this time? Leadership is the most important. Think if you want to succeed, you must follow a leader with a big pattern, and every day, you can't make a big deal by being timid. You know, when I went to Shenzhen, I was poor and poorer. I went to the municipal building and asked you directly who is the most powerful leader? I want to see him. I went to the mayor's office at that time, in front of he said to his face that I will build the most powerful company in the next few years, and now I will give you a chance to get to know me. I was tyrannical at the time, and he was not an ordinary person. He stood up and slapped me and gave me a big slap in the face. At that time, I was thinking, this leader can do it, has courage, and even a person like me is awesome. I can't help it, he is a talent. Only those who dare to do it can go a long way and succeed. So, you need to find the right leader. So how do you have a good relationship with the leader? But there is a way to do it. After Huang Hongsheng sent the county leaders away, they heard from the waiter that Lu Feng was having a party upstairs. He ran over to take a look, quietly opened the door, and Lu Feng blew each other. They listened for most of the time. Who are these people? Huang Hongsheng frowned. Is the one at the front the local chief Niu? I just had a chat with the county magistrate. Li Dongsheng squinted and muttered. Why is Lu Feng talking about these useless nonsense? Among the 4 people, only Ge Quanshun understands the most. It is easy for Lu Feng to cooperate with the county, but it is not easy to find a buyer. The reason he is talking to these people now is nothing more than making cakes for them and stimulating them to buy products from the county. TV said. If this model is successful, Lu Feng doesn't even need to come forward and send some teams to move back and forth in various counties across the country. If that is the case, then the sales in the market hidden under the clear market will be terrifying. Ge Quanshun already fully understood what this model was about, but he couldn't say it, and he thought that this model was very good. Huang Hongsheng was already blindfolded, and withdrew his gaze from the crack of the door, frowned and said, could it be true that there is a Northern Economic Development Zone? I asked a lot of people to ask, there is no such thing, is it because he has a higher level of contact? Hi. Others also expressed that they had used the relationship, but they had never heard of such a thing. Ge Quanshun heard that Lu Feng had talked about the critical moment on stage, so he put out almost the whole plan, and said, why don't we go back first? Bar. Wait a minute, listen again. After more than half an hour, Mr. Niu left with a large group of people. Everyone at the scene was very excited. It is estimated that they would not be able to fall asleep after returning. In my heart, I thought of buying a TV watch from the leader, and then slapped myself. Then he became a billionaire boss. 10 minutes later, Mr. Hao came again with a group of people, and Lu Feng came to the stage to chat again. This time, Huang Hongshen and everyone understood the whole plan. Chen Weirong squinted slightly, pondered for a long time and said, "This method seems a bit interesting. It's the way." Ji Quanshun already understood at this moment that he had to act in advance. The size of the panda couldn't compare with these people, so he had to act first. "It's getting late, I'll go back to rest first," Ji Quanshun said politely to everyone, yawned and walked to his room. When he returned to his room, he immediately called the team at the headquarters and asked to send a few people tomorrow to help with this. After hanging up the phone, Ji Quanshun thought about it and called from a county, but he didn't expect that the phone was still connected. "Hey, magistrate, yeah, I want to chat with you, is it convenient?" Ji Quanshun asked tentatively. The lights in the county were bright, and more than a dozen leaders waited all night for such a phone call. Now Ji Quanshun called, proving that their internal competition had begun. To greater benefits.